Everything at my best friend's baby shower seemed picture perfect. The decorations were beautiful, the laughter was genuine, and the room was filled with joy. But then, in the middle of the celebration, my husband leaned in close, his breath warm against my ear, and whispered something so shocking and unexpected that my smile froze instantly. In that moment, the entire mood shifted for me, and all I could think about was how my life might never be the same again. I watched my best friend, Colette, radiate joy at her baby shower, cradling her bump. But what started as a beautiful celebration quickly twisted into a horrifying nightmare of deception, a betrayal that shattered everything I thought I knew about our 2-decade-long friendship. Honestly, the moment we pulled up to Colette's house, I knew something was off. The street was packed, cars lined up everywhere. My husband, Bennett, just mumbled, "Looks like half the town showed up." He was quiet, almost too quiet, gripping the steering wheel with white knuckles. Bennett? The guy who could strike up a conversation with a brick wall? He'd been weird all the way over here. I tried to joke. "You know Colette, she never does anything halfway." He just nodded, but his eyes were sharp, scanning everything. He looked watchful. I put my hand on his arm. "You okay?" He gave me this tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Fine, just tired from work." I let it go. He works at the hospital, long shifts. I really didn't want to start my best friend's baby shower with an argument, you know? We walked up to the front door. My arms were full with this huge gift basket, all the perfect baby stuff, and a blanket I'd spent months knitting. Before we could even knock, the door flew open. "Lavender!" Colette squealed, arms wide. My best friend, my Colette, stood there, absolutely radiant in this flowing, pale pink dress. Her blonde hair was perfect, a flower crown on her head, makeup flawless. Honestly, she looked like she'd stepped right out of a glossy magazine, you know, the kind selling that perfect dream of motherhood. "You look incredible," I told her, passing the basket to Bennett so I could hug her properly. But Colette held me at arm's length, body slightly angled away. "Don't squish the little one," she laughed, patting her stomach. She wore that bump proudly, but even then, something about how she touched it, how she held herself, felt rehearsed. Like a performance. "We wouldn't want that." I chuckled, trying to meet Bennett's eyes, but he wasn't looking at me. He was scanning the whole room, slowly, methodically, behind Colette. The entryway just exploded into this totally transformed space. Lavender flowers everywhere. A professional photographer was weaving through the crowd. There was even a full bar, mocktails and mimosas, and a giant neon sign glowing on the wall. "It's a girl!" in cursive pink letters. "Colette," I breathed, just amazed. "This must have cost a fortune." She waved it off dismissively. "Oh, don't worry about that. Most of it was donated. People have been so generous." I saw Bennett's eyebrows twitch, just slightly, but he stayed quiet. Then Alaric, Colette's husband of 3 years, walked up with 2 glasses of champagne. He handed one to Bennett, joking, "For the non-pregnant among us." Bennett clinked glasses. "Congratulations. First-time fatherhood, big change coming." Alaric agreed. "The biggest." But his eyes flickered to Colette for a split second, and this weird look passed between them. I couldn't figure it out, but it stuck with me. "Lavender!" A familiar voice cut through the party noise. Opal pushed through, then Sierra and Gage right behind her. My whole high school crew, back together. "It's been forever!" Sierra exclaimed, pulling me into a hug. 6 months is hardly forever. I laughed. "In artist time, it's an eternity," she shot back. Opal, who's a therapist now, just stood back, observing us with that analytical gaze of hers. "How's the counseling center treating you, Lavender?" she asked. "Busy as always," I replied. "You know how it is, everyone needs someone to talk to." Gage, Colette's younger brother, was just lingering at the edge of our little circle. He'd grown up, you know? Not that boy who used to slip notes into my locker. "Nice to see you," he said, his eyes on mine for a beat too long. "You too," I said, suddenly super aware of Bennett, who was definitely watching us. Colette clapped her hands. Now that Lavender's here, I can show you all the nursery mock-up. The designer just finished the renderings. She practically dragged us upstairs, chattering about organic paint and all this fancy, sustainable timber. Bennett fell in step beside me, his fingers brushing mine. Notice anything? He whispered. Like what? I whispered back. He just shook his head. Never mind. That second bedroom? It was completely transformed. Like a vision in soft pinks and creams. A gorgeous crib, a hand-painted mural, bookshelves already filled with classics. It's stunning! Sierra gasped, and honestly I agreed. But a question kept nagging at me. This level of luxury? It just didn't fit Colette and Alaric's usual style, or their budget. Alaric worked in publishing, Colette ran a small nonprofit. This room alone probably cost more than they made in 3 months. Colette, almost like she read my mind, explained. Oh, most of it was donated by vendors who support my maternal health initiative. They want to showcase their products. Opal, being a therapist, instantly hit back with, That's convenient. Colette's smile tightened, just a fraction. It's networking, the best kind, she insisted. While everyone else was admiring the custom wallpaper, I noticed Bennett in the doorway. He had his phone out, taking pictures, zooming in on details. When he caught me looking, he quickly stuffed it into his pocket. Downstairs, the party was in full swing. Games, advice cards, gifts piled so high the table looked like it was groaning under the weight. But Bennett? He stayed on the sidelines, watching, texting. His usual charm was just gone. During a quiet moment, I cornered him by the drinks. Seriously, what is wrong with you today? I asked. Nothing, he said, but his eyes kept scanning the room. You keep saying that, but you're acting so weird. You've barely talked to anyone. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. I'm sorry. I noticed some things that don't add up. Before I could even push him, the photographer called for a group photo. We all gathered around Colette, who positioned herself front and center, hands cradling her belly like it held the most precious thing in the world. As the photographer counted down, Bennett stepped back. His attention was snagged by someone across the room. His eyes narrowed. He pulled out his phone again, typing furiously. I followed his gaze, a middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair near the gift table. He was watching Colette with an expression I couldn't place. Was it concern? Confusion? Who's that? I whispered to Sierra. She just shrugged. Maybe one of Alaric's colleagues? Or family? The photos wrapped up, and Colette's mother, Patricia Whitman, took center stage. She's a formidable woman. Always has been. She raised her glass. When Colette told me she was finally expecting, she began. I thought of all the silence we've endured, all the waiting. This baby girl is truly a blessing after long silence. The room erupted in applause. Next to me, Bennett stiffened. We have to go, he said abruptly, voice low, urgent. What? We can't just leave in the middle of Colette's shower, Bennett. His fingers wrapped around my wrist, firm, not painful, but his eyes, they just bored into mine with an intensity that genuinely startled me. Trust me, Lavender. We need to go. Bennett, this is my best friend's baby shower. I can't just, I'll explain in the car. He cut me off. Please. There was no panic in his tone, just this absolute, chilling certainty. And for some reason I caved. I made quick excuses to Colette, blaming a hospital emergency. She pouted, but accepted, making me promise lunch soon. As we drove away, the lavender balloons still visible in the rearview, I turned to him. This better be good. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. It's not good, Lavender. It's not good at all. The silence in our car was heavy. You could almost feel it, like a third person jammed between us. Bennett drove with this grim precision, eyes glued to the road. Outside, the spring sunshine seemed to mock the growing tension. Are you going to tell me what that was about? I finally asked, my voice tight. Or should I just guess? His jaw tightened. Give me a minute. I need to figure out how to say this. Say what? That you embarrassed me in front of everyone I care about? That you pulled me out of my best friend's baby shower like we were fleeing a crime scene? He didn't respond, just flicked on his turn signal with unnecessary force. Bennett, I tried again, softer this time. Whatever it is, just tell me. He exhaled slowly, his shoulders slumping. Not until we're halfway home. I need you focused, not distracted by traffic. You're scaring me, I admitted. I'm sorry, he said, reaching across to squeeze my hand. That's not my intention. We drove in silence for another 15 minutes. Finally, when we passed a rusty old billboard, Bennett spoke. Colette's not pregnant. I just stared at him, waiting for the punchline. When none came, I let out this short, incredulous laugh. What are you talking about? We were just at her baby shower. I saw her belly. You saw something, he agreed, his voice clinically detached. But it wasn't a 7-month pregnancy. That's insane. I twisted in my seat to face him fully. I've known Colette since we were 6 years old. I think I'd know if she was faking a pregnancy. Would you? His eyes flicked to mine. When was the last time you actually touched her stomach? The question landed like a physical blow. I opened my mouth, then closed it again. I replayed every interaction with Colette over the past months. The announcement dinner, the gender reveal, the maternity shopping. Each time there had been hugs, but always at angles, always brief, always controlled. She doesn't like people touching her belly, I said defensively. Lots of pregnant women don't. That's convenient, he murmured. Stop it, I snapped. This is ridiculous. You can't possibly think Colette is faking this. What would even be the point? Bennett sighed. The man at the gift table, that was Dr. Nathaniel Harmon. He's an OBGYN at my hospital. So maybe he's her doctor, I countered. He's not. He works exclusively at Mercy General. Colette goes to St. Elizabeth's Medical Center. You told me that yourself, Lavender, when she first announced. I frowned. Maybe she switched doctors? Bennett's voice was gentle now. He really saw me then. His eyes were so concerned. I don't know exactly what's going on, but after that, I overheard Alaric on the phone in the hallway near the bathroom. Bennett's hands tightened on the wheel again. He said, and I quote, "She's starting to believe it herself. We need to speed this up." A chill ran through me, a cold dread. That could have been about anything, I insisted. Then explain the medical reports I saw in Colette's home office last week when we were helping them move furniture. You were snooping through their papers? I was aghast. They were out on the desk, Lavender. Blood test panels, not consistent with pregnancy. You had no right. I'm a doctor. I know what I saw. Anger flared inside me, hot and defensive. So what? You think this is all some elaborate hoax? That my best friend is walking around with a fake bump, pretending to be pregnant? Do you hear how crazy that sounds? More than crazy, he agreed. Possibly pathological. This is... I sputtered, searching for words. This is jealousy. You've always been weird about my friendship with Colette. Bennett's face hardened. That's not fair. Isn't it? Ever since we got married, you've made comments about how much time I spend with her, how she calls too late, how she always needs something. Because she's manipulative. His voice rose for the first time. She uses you, Lavender. She always has. Pull over. My voice was ice. What? Pull over. Bennett guided the car onto the shoulder, put it in park, but left the engine running. We sat in charged silence, the soft hum of the air conditioning the only sound. I don't want to fight, he said finally. I'm telling you what I observed because I'm worried. For you. For her even. I turned to stare out the window, biting back tears. You're wrong about this, I hope I am. His voice was soft now. But think about it. Really think. When did she announce? January. That's 7 months ago. Has her body changed the way a pregnant woman's would? Not just her stomach. Her face? Her ankles? Her overall weight? I thought about Colette at the shower. Her slender arms, her defined jawline, her slim ankles and those strappy heels. Pregnant women retain water, they gain weight in their faces, their bodies change beyond just their bellies. She's always been thin, I said weakly. She's not drinking alcohol because of doctor's orders, not morning sickness. Have you ever heard her mention morning sickness? Food aversions? Back pain? I hadn't. Colette's pregnancy had been, by her own account, practically magical. No symptoms, no complaints. And that nursery, Bennett continued. Everything's still in packaging. Nothing assembled. Almost like it's for show. Stop! I covered my ears childishly. Just stop! He fell silent, waiting. Slowly, unwillingly, I let myself consider his observations, the careful way Colette positioned herself in photos, how she never seemed to need bathroom breaks despite supposedly carrying a 7-month fetus pressing on her bladder, the way she changed the subject whenever I asked specific questions about her prenatal care. Why? I whispered, dropping my hands. Why would anyone do this? I don't know, Bennett admitted. Attention? Money? That shower wasn't cheap, and she said most things were donated. What does that even mean? The extravagance of the event replayed in my mind, the professional catering, the designer decorations, the expensive gifts. Colette's nonprofit work focused on maternal health in underserved communities. Could there be a connection? I need to know for sure, I said finally. Bennett nodded, putting the car back in drive. So do I. As we pulled back onto the highway, doubt crept in like a fog, obscuring the certainties I'd built my life around. I'd known Colette longer than I'd known anyone outside my family. We'd shared everything, first periods, first kisses, college anxieties, wedding jitters. She was the sister I never had. But there had always been something performative about Colette, something that needed an audience. In high school, her heartbreaks were always public, her achievements always broadcast. Even her proposal from Alaric had been elaborately staged for maximum social media impact. I keep thinking about what her mother said, Bennett mused, breaking into my thoughts. A blessing after long silence. What silence? Colette's never mentioned fertility issues. I agreed. No, she hasn't. My phone buzzed with a text. It was Colette. Miss you already? Lunch Tuesday? Just us girls. So much to tell you. I stared at the message, seeing it with new eyes. So much to tell me? What hadn't she already shared about this pregnancy? The rest of the drive passed in contemplative silence. By the time we pulled into our driveway, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. What now? I asked as Bennett cut the engine. He turned to me, his face grim in the fading light. That's up to you. She's your friend. I nodded slowly. I need to find out the truth. Whatever that is. He agreed. We'll face it together. That night, I lay awake long after Bennett's breathing had deepened into sleep. My mind replayed every interaction with Colette over the past 7 months, searching for clues I might have missed. The excitement in her voice when she called with the news, the way she declined my offer to accompany her to appointments, the vague answers about due dates and doctors' recommendations. By morning, I had made a decision. I needed to see for myself. The day after the shower, I was a mess. Bennett had an early shift, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I paced the kitchen, coffee growing cold in my mug, replaying everything he'd said. Could it really be true? Could my best friend, the person I trusted most in the world, be living such an elaborate lie? I scrolled through recent pictures of Colette. She was radiant, yes, but looking closer, I saw it, the flowing dresses, the angles, the slight distance. Always. Before I could second-guess myself, I texted her. Left my shawl at your place yesterday. Okay if I swing by to grab it? Her response came immediately. So sorry. Not home now, doctor appointment. Mary is there though, she can let you in. Perfect. Colette's younger sister, Mary, was less guarded, less polished. If anyone would slip up, it would be her. I grabbed my purse and keys, literally fabricating a pale blue shawl in my mind. The drive to Colette's house felt endless, each mile marker a countdown to a confrontation I wasn't sure I was ready for. Colette and Alaric lived in this gorgeous, renovated Victorian, a wedding gift from her parents. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw Alaric's car was gone too. Only Mary's beat-up Civic was in the carport. My heart was pounding against my ribs, desperate to escape. I knocked. Footsteps. The door swung open. Mary. Hair in a messy bun, sweatpants, one of Colette's old college t-shirts. Lavender? Her surprise was genuine. What are you doing here? Oh, I left my shawl yesterday, I explained, forcing a smile. Colette said you'd let me in. Oh? Mary blinked then stepped aside. Sure, come in. It's probably in the living room. I stepped inside, and immediately the house felt different. Without the crowd and decorations, it was hollow, almost staged. Sorry about the mess, Mary said, gesturing to a half-eaten breakfast on the coffee table. Wasn't expecting company. No worries, I said, scanning the room, pretending to look for my non-existent shawl. The shower was beautiful. You all must have worked so hard. Mostly the event planner. Mary shrugged. Colette had very specific requirements. I'm sure she did, I murmured, moving toward the dining room. There was an open bottle of red wine on the table, next to a plate with half a steak. Late breakfast? I asked. Mary flushed. Alaric's from last night. Steak and red wine. I raised an eyebrow. Bit heavy for Colette these days, isn't it? Oh, she didn't. Mary stopped herself, eyes widening. I mean, she had something else. Pregnancy-friendly. I just nodded, filing away the slip. Where is Colette today? She mentioned a doctor's appointment. Mary shifted uncomfortably. Yeah, she went to a clinic out of town. Special monitoring or something. Her voice wavered. Is everything okay with the baby? I pressed, watching her face. Fine. Everything's fine. Just routine. The answer came too quickly. That's good to hear. I wandered toward the stairs. Mind if I check upstairs for my shawl? Maybe it ended up in the nursery somehow? I'll come with you, Mary said, a little too eagerly. The nursery looked exactly as it had yesterday, pristine, untouched. But now, looking with Bennett's eyes, I saw it. None of the boxes were opened. The crib parts were still wrapped in plastic. The mattress, still in its packaging. Even the baby clothes in the dresser still had tags attached. It's like a showroom, I murmured, running my fingers along the changing table. Colette wants everything perfect before she opens anything, Mary explained. You know how she is. I thought I did, I said softly. As Mary turned to check the closet, I noticed something behind the changing table, a small journal, wedged there as if it had fallen and been forgotten. When Mary wasn't looking, I slipped it into my purse. Not here, Mary announced. Maybe downstairs, in the coat closet. We went back downstairs, and I made a show of checking various spots. I should get going, I said finally. I probably left it in the car after all. I'll tell Colette you stopped by, Mary offered, walking me to the door. Please do. I paused on the threshold. Mary, is everything really okay with Colette? She seems different lately. Something flickered across the younger woman's face, stark fear. She's going through a lot, she said carefully. But she'll be fine. She always is. If she needs anything, you'll be the first to know. But her smile didn't reach her eyes. I was halfway to my car when I heard voices from the side of the house. Instinctively, I ducked behind a giant hydrangea bush. Colette's voice, clear and sharp, carried through the open kitchen window. I don't care what he thinks. This will be over after the donation clears. My blood ran cold. Donation? What donation? I crept closer, trying to hear more, but Colette had lowered her voice. I could only make out fragments. Not backing out now. And too much invested. The crunch of footsteps on gravel sent me scrambling back to my car. I slid into the driver's seat just as Colette rounded the corner of the house, phone pressed to her ear, face set in an expression I'd never seen before, calculating, cold. I started the engine and pulled away, my heart hammering. In my rearview, I saw Colette watching my car, her free hand not on her belly, but hanging loosely at her side. Once safely down the street, I pulled over and called Bennett. You might be right, I said when he answered, my voice shaking. Something's definitely off. What happened? His concern was palpable, even through the phone. I went to her house. Found a journal. Heard her talking about a donation clearing, saying it would be over after that. Bennett was silent for a moment. Did you see any medical paperwork? Anything concrete? No, but Mary was acting weird, and there was red wine and steak on the table, and the nursery. Nothing's been opened, Bennett. It's all still in packaging. Keep the journal, he advised. We might need it as evidence. Evidence of what? I asked, suddenly afraid of the answer. What exactly do you think is happening here? Bennett's voice was grim. Best case scenario? Some kind of delusional episode. Worst case? Fraud. After we hung up, I sat in my car, staring at Colette's journal in my lap. Opening it felt like a betrayal. But not opening it felt like enabling whatever was happening. I took a deep breath and flipped to the first page. My dearest daughter, though you're not yet in my arms, you're already in my heart. Each day I wait for you is a day closer to holding you. They don't understand. They say it's not possible, that I should accept reality, but mothers know. Mothers always know. Your room is ready. Your family is waiting. All we need now is you. With eternal love, your mother. The entry was dated 3 years ago. 3 years? I flipped through more pages. Each one a letter to this phantom daughter. Some hopeful, some angry, some desperate. The most recent, dated just 2 weeks ago, sent chills down my spine. My miracle girl, they've all finally accepted your coming. The donations are flowing in. Soon we'll have everything we need to bring you home properly. Just a little longer now, and no one will be able to take you away from me again. Forever yours, Mommy. What had happened 3 years ago? Colette and Alaric had only been married for a few months then. Had there been a pregnancy no one knew about? A loss? My phone buzzed with a text from Colette. Saw you driving away. Did you find your shawl? I froze, unsure how to respond. Before I could decide, another text came through. Lavender, I need to tell you something. Something I haven't told anyone else. Can we meet tomorrow? Somewhere private? I've been keeping a secret for too long, and you're the only one I trust with the truth. I stared at the screen, a mixture of dread and vindication washing over me. Whatever was happening with Colette, I was about to find out. With trembling fingers I replied, Of course. Name the time and place. Her response came immediately. The cabin at Lake Morrison. Noon. Come alone. The cabin. Her family's summer place. Isolated. Private. The perfect spot for a confession. Or a confrontation. I started the car again, Colette's journal secure in my purse, and drove home with the weight of 20 years of friendship pressing down on me. By the time I pulled into our driveway, I had made up my mind. I would meet Colette tomorrow. Hear her out. And then decide what to do. Bennett was waiting for me in the kitchen, still in his scrubs from his hospital shift. One look at my face told him everything. You found something, he said. It wasn't a question. A lot of somethings. I sank into a chair at our kitchen table. And tomorrow, I said, I'm going to find out the rest. I showed him the journal, watched his expression darken as he read. When he finished, he closed it carefully and set it down between us, like a bomb that might detonate. "Whatever you're walking into tomorrow," he said quietly, "be careful. If she's been living this delusion for 3 years, she's still Colette." I insisted, though I wasn't sure anymore what that meant. "She's still my friend." Bennett reached across the table and took my hand. "People who are drowning will pull down anyone trying to save them," he said. "Remember that." That night, I left Bennett a voicemail before falling into a troubled sleep. "I think you're right about everything. I'm scared of what I'll find out tomorrow." In my dreams, I stood in Colette's perfect nursery, watching as she rocked an empty blanket, singing lullabies to no one at all. The drive to Lake Morrison felt like an eternity, 40 minutes of my anxiety just spiraling. I'd barely slept, my mind churning with every possibility until dawn broke. Bennett had offered to come, but this was something I needed to face alone. Whatever this turned out to be. The lake was deceptively peaceful in the late spring sunshine. Its surface rippled gently. The Whitman family cabin, nestled among tall pines, was a fixture of my childhood memories. Colette and I had spent countless summers here, swimming, gossiping, dreaming of our futures. As I pulled up the gravel driveway, I saw Colette's white SUV. My stomach clenched. No turning back now. I walked slowly towards the cabin, noticing things I'd missed before. The porch swing where we'd shared so many secrets looked abandoned, chains rusted. Empty flower pots. A faded welcome mat. Before I could even knock, the door swung open. Colette stood there. A simple white sundress. No baby bump. No pregnancy glow. Just Colette. Her face bare of makeup, blue eyes rimmed with red. "You knew?" she said, not as a question, just a flat statement. I nodded, unable to find words. She stepped back, gesturing me inside. I should have realized Bennett would figure it out. Doctors notice things. The cabin interior was dim, shafts of sunlight cutting through the blinds. Colette moved to the worn leather couch and sat, curling her legs beneath her like she used to do in college. "Do you hate me?" she asked, her voice small. I stayed standing, unsure of the script for this moment. "I don't hate you. I don't understand." She laughed, a brittle, hollow sound. "That makes 2 of us." I watched her pour water from a pitcher, her hands surprisingly steady. "No wine today. No performance." "I wasn't always lying," she began, staring into her glass. "A year ago, I was pregnant. For real." My breath hitched. 8 weeks. We hadn't told anyone yet. We were waiting for the first trimester to pass. Her voice was flat, emotionless. "I miscarried on a Tuesday. Alaric was in London for work. I was alone." "Colette," I started, instinct overriding caution. "Why didn't you call me?" "Because you had just announced your promotion at the counseling center. Everyone was so proud of you." She shrugged. "I didn't want to steal your moment." That familiar guilt twisted in my gut. The constant push-pull of our friendship, where her needs and mine perpetually competed for oxygen. "After the miscarriage, I fell apart," she continued. "But secretly. No one knew except Alaric and my doctor." I sat beside her, leaving space between us. And then I stopped accepting it. I started talking to the baby like she was still there. Buying things. Planning. Colette's hands fluttered to her still flat stomach. "Alaric was worried, but he went along with it at first. He thought it was grief. When did it become this?" I gestured vaguely at her, at the entire situation. She sighed. 3 months ago, I was supposed to speak at a maternal health fundraiser for my nonprofit, you know? But I had a panic attack before going on stage. Couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I remembered. You said you had food poisoning. Another lie. She smiled sadly. Alaric found me hyperventilating in the bathroom. I kept saying I couldn't face them. Couldn't tell them I'd failed. And then he said, "What if you didn't have to?" My blood ran cold. "He suggested you fake the pregnancy?" "Not exactly," she said. "He suggested I could say I was newly pregnant, just to get through the event. We'd announce a loss later, after I'd had time to process privately. Colette's eyes met mine, hollow. But it felt so good, Lavender. The congratulations. The attention. The way people looked at me like I was special again. So you kept going. I finished, my voice flat. It snowballed. One event became another. A small bump became a bigger one. And then the donations started coming in. Donations? I frowned. Colette stood abruptly, moving to a desk. She returned with a folder full of papers. Here, she said, spreading them on the coffee table. See for yourself. The documents showed substantial donations from various businesses and individuals, all to Colette's nonprofit, New Beginnings Maternal Care. The foundation is real, she explained. The work we do is real. We provide prenatal care to women in underserved communities. What isn't real? I finished for her. Is your pregnancy? She nodded, eyes downcast. I don't understand. Why would your pregnancy affect donations to your nonprofit? Because of who the donors are. Colette shuffled through the papers, pulling out several checks with familiar names: the Graves Foundation, the Williams Trust, Hampton Healthcare Services. They all have one thing in common. I scanned the names, recognition dawning. They all lost children or grandchildren or siblings. I murmured. They donate to maternal health care because of personal tragedy. Colette's voice hardened slightly. And they connect with me because they think I understand their fear. The fear of losing a child. The sheer calculation of it all stunned me. So the baby shower was a fundraiser? I asked, disgusted. Essentially. Every gift, every decoration, all donated by companies that support New Beginnings. They get tax write-offs and publicity. We get supplies for our clinics. My mind raced to process this. Manipulative? Certainly. Deceptive? Absolutely. But criminal? I wasn't sure. Colette, this is... My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Bennett. The obstetrician just emailed me. He says he filed a fraud report. My heart sank. I looked up at Colette, who was watching me intently. Bad news? She asked. I hesitated, then turned my phone screen toward her. She read the message, her face draining of color. Who else knows? I asked quietly. Just Alaric and Mary. She figured it out last month. Colette's composure cracked. Lavender, I can't go to jail. The foundation will collapse. All those women we help, they'll have nothing. You should have thought of that before you started this performance. I said, my voice cold. I know. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I know it was wrong, but I'll make it right. Once the final donation from Graves clears, it's for a new ultrasound machine for a mobile unit. I'll announce that I lost the baby. There'll be sympathy, not suspicion. No one will question it. The coldness of her planning chilled me to the bone,